Howdy, folks, and welcome to Moose Podcast number 513, Court of Discovery. Thanks so much for dropping by, giving the podcast a listen. I'm very grateful. Keep meeting new folks, at least to me, who have listened to the podcast and scarily can quote parts of it, which kind of makes me nervous. But hey, I appreciate the support and the fellowship. I want to make a special shout out to all my friends there in Spokane who are dealing with three pretty major wildfires. Please, all of you, be safe. I know some of you have had to evacuate. It makes me nervous and scared, and let you know you're in my prayers and thoughts. Been there. Wildfires are a scary thing, more and more common as retribution to what we've done to screw up our environment. But hey, you guys take care and be safe. This edition of the Moose Podcast again is being recorded using Adobe Podcast Beta, trying to make me sound better, and of course, creating the transcript, both of which you can find at the blog post on the website, moosepeterson.com. You can head there. You can go to your favorite spot, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, iTunes, whatever it happens to be. Please, I'm here to help you any way I can. So if you got comments, questions, that's the place to do it. Spotify, I think, is the easiest platform for both sides. But, I'm here to help any way I can, trivia or not. All this trivia that I got in my head, sometimes it's got to get out. If you don't ask questions, it explodes in the office, and Sharon spends days cleaning it up. So please reach out. Just came back from an absolute marvelous time with some really great people, some new folks looking at the West in Montana. Had a great time. There's quite a bit of smoke. The smoke has been here for about a week, maybe 10 days. And other than making a colorful sunrise and sunset, it's a bit depressing. The heat has really depressed the critter photography, unless you're at a water feature or bird bath. So that makes things tough. Now, I keep adding items to my doodad list, which you can find at the very bottom right corner of the landing page for the website. Now, it's there for a number of reasons. Most of my stuff that I get, your basic kind of camera gear comes from Bedford's, but all the other little support stuff, cages and things like that, fanny pack, water bottles, and of course, books, which is the reason why I first went to Amazon. Hey, all that's there in the doodad list. You can click on it. You can find it. Hopefully it helps, because some of it are important tools. Now, I'm reading 2 books for a project that I picked up, and it's kind of on the QT, so I can't really talk about those books because that gives away the project, which I'm supposed to keep under wraps until it actually gets published. But a book that I want to recommend that I have read twice that is really good, that this past week really brought back to the forefront, is Undaunted Courage by Stephen Ambrose et al. Undaunted Courage. So Lewis and Clark, their journals are 7 massive books, which way back when I was a kid, I started going through, and I think I got to like number 3, and I gave up because, man, Meriwether could write. There was a ton of information in there. And that's what Undaunted Courage is all about. It is very inspirational. There's not a page you couldn't reference to photography and being a photographer, of what it took to go from St. Louis all the way to the Pacific and back, and all they went through and experienced. It's if you've not read that book, I can't recommend it enough to you. Undaunted Courage by Stephen Ambrose et al. It is absolutely just a page burner. It's a great read. Want to thank my good friends at bedfords.com. If you haven't signed up for their pop-up ads that come up, that might be the wrong phrase, but all of a sudden you'll get a text that says, we for the next 24 or 48 hours have this on sale. I can't recommend enough that you do it because I've picked up things. I continually pick up things. The last time was some LED lights. It's and that was on their used sale. They just have so much inventory and such killer prices. And when you check out, you get that Moose discount. I mean, that's 5% back in your pocket. That makes a difference. And I wasn't aware of this. I have a friend of mine who just bought a Z8, and they received a bunch of pro grade goodies. A reader, I forget the card, like a 250 gig card, and then the card organizer, which I can't live without anymore when I travel. For when I come back, I can put my cards in it, so I get them uploaded correctly and put back the cameras. Well, that all came with the Z8, which was on sale, and they got the Moose discount. I mean, geez, Bedfords, how do you stay in business doing that, giving stuff away? But hey, they got 7 stores, got a massive website, great phone number, and amazing folks. So hey, call, click, go inside. Bedfords, I'm telling you, they're great. Well, this past week, I went back to Great Falls, Montana. It took 5 folks who wanted to explore, and as one native Montanan who came with me, wanted to see the Montana through my eyes. And that native said at the end of the week that they had a whole new appreciation for the state. Now, Montana, there's all sorts of you got people who put Montana in their name. You've got some crazy TV series that really don't reflect Montana or its people or its heritage very well. And that was the goal of if there was a goal for our adventure, was really all about Corp of Discovery. Now, Corp of Discovery can be interpreted in many ways. In this way, I'm thinking, one, the Lewis and Clark expeditions, they came up the Missouri, hit the Great Falls, and then had to overcome that major obstacle to go on and do what they did. And it's so reflective of us as photographers. So quick little history lesson. So they going up the Missouri River, how they did it, going upriver, right? They had their boats, and then they went to dugout canoes, and they got to the Great Falls, which when you look at them historically, these things were just magnificent efficacy of nature, just gorgeous, really just spectacular. And there were 5 of them. So they had to portage all they had with them, which was a lot, up basically a 450-foot cliff. I mean, it wasn't just a little slope. These were a volcanic rock that had been eroded and carved by the Missouri for a millennia. They had to get all this up the hill through cactus, and there's nothing worse than Montana cactus. I mean, I've seen them go through 12-ply tires, these things. And these guys just had 2 leather-soled moccasins. And then they portage what they thought would take just a day, took almost 3 weeks. Then they got back in the river and kept on going. And that's really oversimplifying the whole process. Well, the original idea behind my adventure was to take advantage of the normal, really amazing afternoon thunderstorm lightning displays across the gorgeous plains of the area around Great Falls, from like Fort Benton to Fort Shaw down towards past Cascade and Hardy Creek and in that area, and then up towards Fairfield, that big basin area. Well, between the smoke and the really incredible heat wave. No moisture could make it, and so there was nothing. There was bald skies, and as you know, bald skies suck. So our core discovery had to switch gears, which is typical for photography, right? Well, I went back to my roots with the area and my basic core discovery when it comes to Great Falls, and we kind of, you could say, follow the tracks of Lewis and Clark. We went to the Great Falls and shooting water and photographing water. Everybody has their own preferences, be it sharp water, blurry water, blown out of focus water. And getting to that point takes some time. So we actually started at Rainbow Point, probably the least photographic of the spots, and shot that fall. There are, like I mentioned, 5. Then the second morning, we went to the spectacular Ryan Island, which is at the base of the original Great Falls, which has, and all the falls have hydroelectric power units on them now, built just after the turn of the 19th century, 20th century, like 1912, 1920, somewhere in there. Depends which dam you're at. And at Ryan, boy, it's spectacular. It's absolutely gorgeous. And if you just, with your imagination, and they have some old historic photographs there, you look at the width and the breadth of these falls and the amount of water that came through them. And then you put yourself in a dugout canoe with moccasins and you look at these cliffs. Photographically, that's really quite inspirational. It really does start to bring out what's happening. Now, the first morning we were there at Rainbow Falls and it was kind of fun. We were photographing it. And all of a sudden they turned off the water, literally, because they're doing some maintenance, dam maintenance work. And that was like, that was a little shocking. See the water just go boop. But rain at Ryan Island, that didn't happen. So we kept on venturing through. And if you've not been in that area, some of the photographs that I have simply don't do it justice. Now, I've already put a couple on Instagram of the sunrises and sunsets, which between the topography, the normal dust that's in the air, and the smoke from the wildfires, they were off the chart. They were off the chart. The sunrises, like at Tower Rock State Park or out at Fort Benton, the sunset, oh my gosh, they were some of the most spectacular I had the good fortune to photograph. Yes, I did my normal. I set the camera to 10,000 Kelvin. I underexposed by one stop because I want that fireball information. I want to see that orange, not that bright yellow. But otherwise, it's all just Mother Nature doing her magic. And I shot from 14 millimeter out to all the way 200 some locations, depending on if we could find any clouds, and then we could make those clouds do something photographically for us. And that's kind of how the core discovery went about. They had their basic plans, right? I mean, they had their basic supplies, but then they had to basically make up things as they went, dealing with what was put in front of them. That's no different than us as photographers. It's the same thing. And if you get frustrated and you're like, just sometimes want to strangle your camera or yourself, go read Undaunted Courage and look what these gentlemen who had, I mean, Lewis and Clark literally made the map. They didn't have a map, and their maps are incredibly accurate. The measurements they did, even when you look at them doing it 33 at a time, just off the chart, really amazingly accurate. All the observations they made of critters and flora and weather, I can't think of a better textbook to become a better photographer than Undaunted Courage, and how the original Corp of Discovery pretty much changed our world. Some of it for the better, some of it's not so much. And that's what your photography can do as well. Your photography, when you make that, go out and you make those discoveries and you share them, they can change the world. And there's so many aspects of our world that need changing. I can't encourage you enough, often enough, with enough emphasis, you know what I'm trying to say, to get you out there and sharing. It is such an important thing. And when you think about Lewis and Clark, when they got to what is now Great Falls, they sent back all their notes, all their maps up to that point time. They actually sent some critters with them. They sent some live prairie dogs, and magpies, some other things, and sent it back so Jefferson and the East Coast could learn about what was out there. And that's truly what photography is all about. It's going out and discovering those new places, photographing them with our hearts and sending them back and sharing to infect others with the awe that we felt at that moment. I can't think of a better definition of Corp of Discovery. You folks have a great week. Enjoy the coolness while it's here. Again, all my friends in Spokane and all those who are dealing with fires right now up in Canada as well, please take care. Be safe. And remember to make every click your story.